Okay, good morning, good evening, good day to everybody joining our webinar today. This is the Formlabs Dental Easy, Innovative, and Open webinar. I'm your host, Dr. Rick Ferguson. It is my pleasure to introduce Giorgio Haddad, Healthcare Lead at Formlabs Dental, and Dr. Elisa Perderi, Senior Clinical Protocols and KL Manager at Formlabs Dental. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. I'm going to ask that all attendees mute their audio and video so as not to interfere with the presenters. Also, the chat box is open, so if you have any questions, please post the questions in the chat box and we'll try to answer them as many as we can. Also, if you don't get your question answered by us typing in the answer during the program, we'll try to answer at the end of the webinar. It is my absolute pleasure to host this webinar, and I'm excited to talk about Formlabs printers, and especially the new Form B. If we can advance the slide, please. So today's goals is to understand what is the current state of Formlabs Dental, to talk about the innovations with the Form 4B, software innovations such as Preform Dental, and something I'm most excited about, which is a materials innovation, the open material mode. So a little bit of history. I started with Formlabs back in about 2016. We started with the Form 2 printer, and we've been using Formlabs throughout all these years. Even though we use a variety of different printers, Formlabs has been the workhorses in our clinical practice. Again, if we can advance the slide here, we started off with the Form 2s. As you can see in this picture, it was only a few months ago that we actually retired our Form 2 printers. They were actually still working, and I donated them to another practice that was just getting started. But we wanted to take advantage of the speed and innovation of the Form 4B. We were running the Form 2 printers along with our Form 3Bs, and now we've fully transitioned over to the Form 4B. So, we're excited about digital dentistry. And of course, there's the design aspect and then the manufacturing. And the manufacturing is really where the Formlabs printers comes in and allows us to do things in a very highly detailed and accurate fashion. And then now with the Form 4B, we're moving into the realm of same-day dentistry. So one of the first things we started with 3D printing was printing splints. And I know a lot of dentists, this is where they start. And Formlabs offers a very robust uh, splint printing experience, not just the accuracy of the splints, but also the volume. And we'll look at that a little bit later when Dr. Perderi talks about the numbers of splints that you can print and also the accuracy. Of course, one of our past students made this comment that the best 3D printer is the one you actually use. And this is something that I think Formlabs, the ecosystem that they have, really excels in. It's very easy to incorporate a Formlabs printer, get your assistants to start using it. And actually, in our practice, our assistants are the ones that pretty much run all the Formlabs printers. Some of the printers out there, it's a little bit challenging to use, but Formlabs from the very beginning created an ecosystem, and you'll see why as we walk through the different features of their system, of their printers, how and why that's so easy for a dental practice to incorporate with very minimal disruption of the dental workflow. So one of the second thing that we actually probably got started doing with 3D printing was aligner cases. So we do design our own aligner cases in-house, but there are a lot of companies that will design the cases for you and send the files back, and then you have to print the files. As you see here on the Formlabs printers, you can fit a lot of aligner models. And here's an example of what it looks like after it's printed. I think this was done on the Form 2 printer or maybe the Form 3B. Similar experience now with the Form 4B printing models. And of course, the next step, as you see in the next slide, is actually fabricating the aligners. You do pressure formed appliances, and then that's how you fabricate the aligners. Now, again, we've been doing this since about 2016 with the Formlabs ecosystem, and it's been very efficient for us. But we also are excited about upcoming features of having different resins that we can go, as you see next, in printing directly the aligners. So this is a case that we designed in-house. We use software to design the case and then sent the models to the printer. And you'll see the result that we can get here. Uh, different design softwares and such, but now we're also printing direct aligners, so you don't have to actually print the models as much anymore. And this is something that is one of the most exciting things when it comes to aligner therapy in office, being able to print the aligners directly. So this is what the graphene resin that is now available in open mode, open materials mode on the Formlabs printer. So this is a case, again, that we did the old-fashioned way, where you can see even challenging cases like this, we're able to do very efficiently, 14 maxillary aligners, 10 mandibular aligners. So, going back all these years, we've been very happy with the Formlabs ecosystem. It's still one of the most used printers in our practice, even though we have pretty much all the different printers out there. But again, because our assistants are capable of using it with minimal training. Yesterday in our Facebook group, we had a discussion about how long a 3D printer is expected to last. Dr. Russell Schaefer posted this ballot, basically trying to gauge what people's expectations are. And we had a discussion here, and both myself and Dr. Trent McCord talked about how our Form 2 printers lasted over 6 years. And this shows you the quality, the robust build of the Formlabs printers. So what is the current state of Formlabs? At this point, I'm going to turn the program over to Dr. Lisa Perderi and Giorgio Haddad, and they're going to walk through the different applications, the different innovations, and the ease of use of the Formlabs ecosystem. Dr. Perderi?
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Ferguson. Thank you so much for hosting this, let's say, very valuable meeting. We're very thrilled to be here with presenting this session, bringing our knowledge, and also we have learned from you so much over these years. And actually, we continue to learn. So actually, it's an honor for us to be here and be presenting also to the dental 3D printing group. I know a lot of people are part of this community. And we know that some of you maybe are Form 2 users. Actually, we want to talk a little bit about the current state of affairs, where we are, but also where we come from and what we have learned. So to kick it off, we want to bring some key concepts that we want you to take away today. And we're going to be doing this session together with Giorgio, trying to get into the details of why these concepts are so important and part of our philosophy today. So first, Formlabs is innovating. We're going to talk, yes, of course, about a lot of features of hardware, software, and materials, but we're going to focus on how we manage with the new Form 4B to achieve that blazing speed, meets unmatched accuracy. So we're going to get into those details and getting really talking technology in details, so you learn a little bit more about what's inside this print engine. But also, Formlabs is easy to use. We know that Formlabs is a very easy ecosystem. Even Dr. Ferguson just shared. The printer that you should get is a printer that your team will use and that it's easy to use. Ease of use is going to make any workflow let's say, much more pleasant to use. So we want to keep that philosophy that was part of the Form 2 to the Form 3B, and even make it even easier with the Form 4B. But also last concept, which I know a lot of people are excited about, and actually we have seen it's bringing back the open material mode. So Formlabs is open, and we're going to be talking this a little bit more about in details, because there's very exciting resins that we have note from third-party resin manufacturers that have validated their settings. So these are three key concepts that we want to share with you today, that we have been working very hard let's say, to change this into our new philosophy. So I know a lot of you maybe know, we don't want to get technical into the timeline, but why am I showing this slide? And actually, I want to just surface back. Dr. Ferguson was showing the Form 2. Maybe a lot of you here, you can share in the chat, have been using the Formlabs printer before. Maybe your first printer was a Form 2. It was also the first printer that I learned to print. Probably, I don't know, Georgia, if it was yours.
Yeah, same back in 2016. Yeah.
Excellent. And for me, it was in 2019. So actually, we started both, let's say, I even printed first in the Form 2. So we have been part of this process and seeing the evolution. So you can ask questions away. We're going to touch base about comparative of the, for example, how the Form 4B compares to the Form 3B. So we wanna, let's say, we have been witness of all these processes and working hard in the back end to where we are today, that is the Form 4B and Form 4BL. So this has been a long path. We're not going to touch base on SLS technology. We're only going to talk about resin-based printers, so SLA. So yeah, we're going to touch base on that. So it has been a long path, but we're very excited for what we have achieved and what will continue to come further. So, you know, one of the things that, and Giorgio, you're an engineer and have all experience in dentistry. For me as a trained clinician, for me, actually, one of the exciting things for Formlabs is we know that we serve a lot of industries. So dental, of course, is core, and we're here to, let's say, tailor the solution to our dental needs. Nevertheless, there's something very exciting about Formlabs is that we know that we serve in multiple industries. So medical devices, let's say hospitals, also printed for manufacturing aids, end-use parts, engineering, aerospace, automotive. You say the tool is very versatile. We even brought the Form 2, an engineering printer, into dental. So we see a lot of the industries that are using 3D printing. Dentistry is one of them. And I do believe that the interaction of all these areas allows us to continue exploring new paths and innovation. So this is very unique to Formlabs, but there's something that actually, it's concepts that are similar to all of the industries, which is we're all doing prototyping and mass customization in a certain way. So there are things that we can learn, for example, in the action figures from Hasbro, from the process of creating these customized figures, or for example, parts that are part of the Deutsche Bahn of the trains, or even the custom handles for Gillette, as well as, for example, creating new solutions. We're creating not only custom devices, but sometimes we're thinking outside of the box and reinventing and creating new devices. So just to give you an example, parts for fostering coral research, or even during the pandemic, we are able to use surgical guide resin to print the swabs. And actually, we're taking something from dental into a bigger solution. Or even this story is quite fascinating, being able to produce a customized harness for this turtle that suffers from bubble butt syndrome. And actually, this harness enables to stabilize, let's say, the turtle to be able to swim back again. So this is actually, we're creating new solutions, but also we are developing and we're using materials in very challenging conditions. So for example, the McLean brothers built this boat that they're using to cross the Pacific Ocean, that are printed with fuse and SLA parts, also used for prototyping. And it's being submitted, let's say, to the challenging conditions of being exposed to the ocean and seawater, or even parts that are being sent to space. So I want to say that there's a lot of things that are agnostic to the industry, but I do want to say, is there any more challenging environment than the patient's mouth? I don't really think so. And then I think that dentistry we're quite unique in that sense. And we're developing materials that have to fulfill biocompatibility, mechanical property standards, aesthetics. So really the requirements that the dental materials need to fulfill are very, very high, and the other industries can learn from us. So it has been a long path, and there has been materials for that are used more in the clinical practice. A lot of you here are clinicians today. So maybe for ortho or prosto, for prosthodontic or restorative, also for orthodontic applications like Dr. Ferguson showed today with his printed models, or even now we can print direct printed aligners with open material mode using Graphene, as well as applications for dental labs. So it has been quite interesting to see the evolution, but also not to underestimate. We are let's say a healthcare profession, and we need to acknowledge that there's also maybe maxillofacial surgeons or prosthodontists here that are working maybe on more larger scale models. There's also that option to produce this larger scale models with bigger printers. We're not touching base on that, but we have the Form 4BL here too in the back, where you can print very large anatomical models, or even I did my own prints. Yes, exactly. And the former Form 3L, I printed actually the model of the David set that I got actually from Thingiverse, and you can see that really the size of the build platform, if you need further capacity, is there. So it's quite interesting. And also one thing, we're focusing a lot on our patients, but also newer generations, or if we have university teachers today, actually 3D printing is a major enablement tool to print anatomical models that can be used for hands-on education. Actually, this research study from University of Paris is quite nice. And we're seeing more and more the utilization of 3D printing, not only for clinical applications, but preclinical training. So yes, it has been a long path, and I think all these applications justifies this number that continues to grow, 15 million parts in dental. And probably this number is already outdated day by day.
Yeah, that's quite outdated.
Yeah, but it will continue to grow, and this is, let's say, thanks to all the innovations that we're all doing together and using the printers for. And we're going to touch base now a little bit more into detail, because these are the innovations. So these are the things that we're going to talk today. So we're going to cover about the hardware, and software and resin, and with open material mode. And of course, we still have a support. We will touch base on that, but it's very important. We will see that in the offer at the end of this session that is also included in the packages. And basically, let's get into the hardware, which is actually very exciting to the Form 4B. And just to let you know, yes, a lot of you maybe already know this printer, maybe you already have it. You can share in the chat how your experience has been. But yes, we wanted to, first concept, blazing speed meets unmatched accuracy. And we know that we needed to reinvent our print engine as a whole. So we can print as fast as 11 models in 9 minutes, but without sacrificing accuracy, and that it's still easy to use. So now I'm going to give the word to Giorgio, because we want to do the live demo on prints. So for this, Giorgio, I'm going to stop sharing screen. Yes. And you can now change, let's say, to do the demo on the printer and set up.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Praderi and Dr. Ferguson. That was a very kind of segue to actually the printer itself, a bit the history about Formlabs, how we learn from different industries and from our customers to innovate and be at the forefront, whether it's on healthcare or on engineering side. So today we want to talk more about the Form 4B printer, which is our flagship printer for dental practices and dental labs. And we've done a lot of innovation. I think some of you are familiar with our printers from the Form 2 and the Form 3B days. I think two major takeaways from today are gonna be that one, Formlabs is very fast at printing. We moved away from the previous technology, which was laser-based. Now we can print parts at blazing speed. And the second one, now there's the option of printing third-party material with open material mode. So Formlabs is now open. So now I'm gonna kind of get you familiar with the printer and start to print while we're presenting, so you can experience firsthand how fast the printer is. So the printer is made out of 3 components. Like the main components here are the build platform. So this is our build platform Flex. I'm gonna put that to the side and I will come back to it. And then we have the resin cartridge. The resin cartridge is self-dispensing. You have automatic dispensing. So once you insert it in the printer, it will automatically dispense the right amount of resin into the tank. That means you don't have to get messy pouring the resin manually. It does it on its own. And then also you would never mix 2 different resins together, because the RFID chip from the cartridge and the tank will see that they match each other before dispensing the resin. So this is very important. And then lastly comes the tank. So here is the tank that was already inserted, but I'm going to show it to you up close. It has inside of it a mixer. The mixer is very important because it has several benefits, one of which is automatic debris detection. So if there is debris or any obstacles inside the resin, the mixer will sense it and will pause the print for you to kind of inspect it and print what we call a cleaning mesh sheet to clean the resin and gather those debris out. So a very robust tank, costs only $99 and lasts a long time. We're gonna see the theory behind it afterwards. It's super easy to insert. The interface tells you that it's well inserted and asks you to put the mixer in and adapt it. The mixer as well mixes the resin, allows the temperature to be homogeneous across the resin, which also allows us to increase the reliability of the prints. and make sure that everything's going super well. Also helps you avoid having to mix manually, and it does it automatically for you. Second, I'm gonna insert the platform flex, which automatically detaches the parts. We're gonna see once the print is finished how we're gonna detach those parts. Boom, inserted. The interface tells you that the big platform is in. And then lastly, the cartridge that I showed you is automatically dispensing. And all you have to do is slide it in the back and open the vent. And we are now ready to print. So I'm gonna launch a print. It's 11 models. It's gonna take about 8 to 9 minutes to print. And we're gonna come back to it later on during the presentation. So the printer is starting now, and the resin temperature is heating up. It's quite fast. We have a really good heating system in it, which we're gonna see later on in the theory part of the slides.
I
So
love
printer-
how the printer starts so quickly.
Yeah, that is
Right.
very true. And gonna see some of the things, Dr. Ferguson, such as the dispensing mechanism has been improved. So you can now dispense resin 5 to 10 times faster. You don't have to wait for the resin dispensing to do. Yeah, so now it's basically doing a quick fill of the tank to the right level, and we're gonna start printing. Yeah.
So one of the things also is that you can insert the resin cartridge even with the printer cover open. That's an engineering, let's say, redesign, because before you need to have the printer cover closed to insert the cartridge, and now actually you can do that even with the lid
Yep.
open. So that's actually a nice feature, which sometimes it happens. Oh, I need to.
And like pausing on this before we continue, think about it again. You got a tank that is very easy to insert with a mixer that automatically detects your debris and mixes your resin. So you're not doing any manual mixing of the resin, and you're not coming back to failed prints because you're proactively knowing if there's anything in the resin tank. That's one. Two, you don't have to manually pour the resin, pour it a bit too much, a bit too little, a little drips here and there. It's automatically dispensing them for you. And then three, remember removing the parts from a build platform and how painful that is. Sometimes you break a model, you break a part, or actually injure yourself. That's not the case with the build platform flex. So it's really all about the experience and the ease of use. And we're gonna see it a bit more in details on this theory side.
Yes.
So we're gonna come back and share the slides. Thank you, Dr. Praderi.
We just had a question about the cartridge before we move on. Somebody asked, is the cartridge the same as the Form 2 and Form 3?
Yeah, so we're gonna cover that, but we moved on from the design of the Form 2 and Form 3 cartridge. The form factor is much more compact at the moment than compared to the old cartridge. And then we moved to RFID tags, which are much more reliable to identify versus the chips that were at the bottom. And most importantly, we now have a very big valve at the bottom that dispenses much more rapidly and more viscous resins much easier into the tank. So like the dispensing speed and rate is 5 to 10 times higher than compared to the Form 2 and Form 3.
Just to clarify, Giorgio, the cartridge is smaller, but it does hold the same amount of resin as the previous cartridge, correct?
Correct. The capacity is still 1 liter.
Correct. Yeah, only for some specific tooth color resins that it's a little different, but it's 1 liter as a whole, actually.
The actual volume.
Yeah, and also one nice thing, I know you're probably going to cover this later, is that we know that like we have the cartridge system and you want to get every single drop out of the cartridge. And actually there's a very nice drain cartridge feature in the printer that maybe want to talk about that later.
Yeah, it's one of those nice like features that get requested internally and externally. Like we see people putting cartridges in like funnels to try to drain every last bit of it. So, and the cartridge design here at the bottom is made as a funnel. And what we've done is we've added feature to the Form 4B printer that kind of presses on the valve and dispenses almost to the last drop of resin into your tank. So you don't have to do that manually. So that was like one of the nice features and add-ons. Awesome. So let's talk a bit more about the technology. So the Form 4B is powered by our low force display engine. And the whole idea was to create a technology that allows us to print as quickly as possible, as reliably as possible, without compromising on the print quality. So diving a bit deeper into this, let's talk about the technology. The family of the technology of this printer is what is called MSLA, or masked stereolithography. And our proprietary touch to it is called the low-force display engine. So how does it look like if we dissect the printer? At the bottom, there is what we call the backlight unit. And the backlight unit has 60 LED lights. And that light goes through different lenses that have been engineered meticulously. That backlight unit has very advanced cooling to improve the lifetime of the backlight unit, which is around 6,000 hours exposure or 5 million layers. In a dental practice setup and almost dental lab, that means you're never gonna have to change it. So that's more like for 24/7 production environment kind of quality and engineering. And then once the light passes through those lenses, it goes to what we call our light processing unit, where there is a custom-made LCD that masks the light precisely and delivers the light to the print plane in a perfectly perpendicular way, making sure that the lights are perfectly perpendicular to the platform, to the build plane, so we're printing in maximum accuracy. So the whole light is perfectly collimated from the backlight unit up to the print plane. Zooming in a bit more on the I covered them. And zooming more into the light processing unit, on top of that custom-made LCD screen, we have our proprietary release texture that is shaped like I would say, golf ball texture. What that allows is kind of a passive movement of air between the film of the resin tank and the top of our light processing unit, which allows to reduce the peel forces and make the quality of the parts consistent with our standard and what is required for dentistry. This light processing unit, which compensates the heating system and the custom-made LCD screen, as well as the release texture on top of, is made to last between 600,000 layers and 1.9 million layers, depending on the resin you're printing, the intensity you're using, the settings, and all of that. We're talking about approximately 2,800 prints using average height models, printing with Gray V5 resin at 100 microns. I think all of that to say that this has been engineered to be long-lasting and to be very robust. In fact, now that we've launched the printer for more than a year now, we are absolutely at our lowest RMA rates and defects with the printer. We've never seen that in the history of Formlabs. The quality of the printers are top-notch, and they're consistently performing. And in a worst case where something goes wrong and your printer is out of warranty, the light processing unit is a usable, replaceable part that costs $545. So if you ever have to change that, you can change it very easily yourself, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. So that is regarding like the engineering that went with it. That's a photo of the back part of the light processing unit that shows where the heating system takes place. We have a precise control of the temperature that goes through the aluminum frame and then conducts the heat to the resin to heat it uniformly and up to high degrees, above 40 degrees, if required for really viscous resins. So that was one of the ways we future-proof this printer, with high temperature control, but also with the automatic mixing that allows us the entry to the territory of highly viscous and highly filled resins. So as I mentioned, we've moved away from our laser-based technology to our MSLA technology powered by the low-force display. Here you can see side by side how the processes are different. And this translates to the fact that now if you increase the number of parts on your build platform, the print time is very similar, whether it's one part or multiple parts. And that's a move away from our laser-based system with the SLA technology, which the time it took to print was somehow directly correlated to the number of parts you had on the build platform. Now, what about the material? The hardware is great, but if you don't have the right materials, then that's not very helpful. So I'll pass it on back to Dr. Praderi to tell us more about the resin portfolio.
Excellent. So thank you, Giorgio. I think that always understanding, I think today as dentists, we're starting to get a little bit more technical in what is the print engine behind these and how does it affect two things: the print time, the productivity, when I will have my part ready to deliver for the patient, the cost, but also like the accuracy, right? So we want to understand, are we, as I mentioned before, we wanted to enhance the print speed, but we don't want that to be sacrificing the accuracy. So let's get a little bit into, let's translate this print speed concept into tangible applications. So let's first look at some model applications. So we know that there are different materials available actually by Formlabs, from fast model resin, which is the material that we're using right now. It's the fastest resin in our portfolio, ideally for antagonist models or checking the fit of an occlusal splint, or models for thermoforming aligners or bleaching trays, among others, that you can print, as you can see, 11 models in just 9 minutes, in fact, 8 minutes now uploaded to the printer. So you can see that we can get from as fast as printing this in 160 micron layer height setting. Of course, the layer height affects the print time. That's why you will see as gray and white resin, for example, if we print in 100 microns, it does take a little bit longer. And then for precision model, and for those of you that have been using Formlabs before, maybe you were using model V2 resin in the Form 2, in the Form 3B, and then model V3. And now with precision model, you will see actually a significant difference. When it comes, for example, to the overall productivity, you can fit up to 6 models in the web platform and even print in 50 microns in just under 2 hours, which is actually incredible. And we're talking here models that we need to be perfect, because this is what is going to be the test is actually, for example, implant analog models. But before I move into a little bit more details about accuracy,
I think it's important here to mention, if you look at the price of the model resin, the fast model is at $79 per liter. The precision model is at, $125 per liter, $129 per liter. So first, it's a price per liter, which is usually equivalent to 1.1, 1.2 kilograms. So you're getting even more resin in terms compared to what you would get in a 1 kilogram bottle. This is very well competitively priced. I think one overlooked thing is how much you actually could save using the Formlabs printers, and the pricing of the model resin is one reason for that.
Exactly. So combined with these factors, again, like we want to have models are able to deliver, and if we have very complex cases, full large implant support appliances, or we want to work with, let's say we have very low, like very small margin of error, like precision model resin actually is my personal favorite material. You can see here, this is actually, we did a lot of beta testing before bringing the Form 4B to the market, and even precision model resin. We work a lot with Stefan Kreimer, and you can see here, for example, the fit of the implant analogs. But let's look a little bit more. We did some due diligence on our side regarding surface accuracy analysis. And actually, you can see here, when we do superimpose the printed part to the original CAD file, we do see that 99.7% of the print surface is within 100 microns deviation. Let's put it this way. And 95% if we go down to 50 microns. So we really wanted to hit those accuracy standards. So we wanted to print fast, but we also wanted to, let's say, hit those targets regarding trueness also and precision. And just to give us an example, we're also talking about models for thermoforming appliances. For those of you that are used with more, for example, Draft V2 resin, this is the same model printed in different printers and in different resins. And you can see already nice, of course, the color is different, but you can see already the resolution of the surface, how that's the smoothness in the top part model. But if we go to the cusp area, which is a little bit more where you can see more of the details in this case, you can see already the differences. Same model, same layer height, different resin, different printer. Or for example, let's look at precision model resin, the material we're talking before, printed in the Form 4B. You can see here, for example, 50 microns on the top, in the middle, and then 100 microns. So you have still the options in precision model. I did get this question on social media that you can print in 25 microns, 50 microns, but also now we have 100 microns layer height setting for this material. and looking at the molar area and the cusps and the grooves. But also, let me go a little bit faster in this case, when we talk about biocompatible resins, because we're talking here about, okay, with some models that we can fit a nice quantity, but about our crucial splints. So you can see here that you can print a full build platform of 8 splints. That's what we managed to fit in the build platform, following some guidelines on orientation, to be less than 1 hour. And also, what is interesting, you can see here in the, for example, the IBT Flex, a material that is good for indirect bonding trays, but also for direct composite restorations. In this case, we're designing very, let's say, nice anatomies, natural textures, and we wanted to, for the indexes to fit very precisely, also in the gingiva area. So we did this case actually the DSD Residency 2 course in Seville last October, and you can see here how it's the fit of that index. Of course, design is fundamental, but you can see that the transfer is done very accurately. And that, I think, it's a very nice proof of concept with this material. But let's look a little bit about surgical guides and more implant-supported appliances and dentures. You can see here also that the productivity, you can fit 6 bases, or for example, up to 12 guides in the build platform, because it does change in the size from the Form 3B. That's important to know. And you can see here already that the print time is very convenient. Even a full arch implant supported appliance, you can have it in less than 40 minutes. And again, we're talking here about accuracy, and I want to give kudos to Dr. Antonino Cacioppo. Look at the fit of this metallic sleeve on this surgical guide, and you can see this is filmed with a microscope. And of course, design is super important, and let's say on the printer will replicate that, but you can see the precision that can be achieved with this with the printer. And also here, for example, same different printer, same material, same part, the added clarity of the surgical guide. So we do see also an effect in the, let's say, overall transparency or translucency of the part with this printer. And lastly, for temporary permanent restorations, and we can see that we can print restorations in under 30 minutes, which actually is a very nice benchmark. We know that maybe there are faster options, but actually this is very nice regarding that you can print 5 restorations in one go in 25 minutes. And we're going to talk about also open material mode in a second. But of course, the print time will vary on pricing, because this is our third-party resins. But I do want to mention this, and again, kudos to Dr. Antonino Cacioppo. I want to look at the fit, for example, of this printed crown printed with a Form 4B. This is what we want to show. Speed is fundamental, but we cannot sacrifice. Speed is nothing without accuracy, and that's why it's very important that we also preserve that in our philosophy while we continue to innovate. So I'll give it back to Giorgio, so we can continue into a little bit the details about the low force display print engine.
Yeah. I think like one of the hidden little secrets is the running cost of a printer. We talked a bit about the pricing of the resin, but let's talk about the resin tanks. So a lot of problems with resin tank. One of them is their longevity, 2 is their pricing, and then 3, if sometimes they're kind of long lasting but very expensive, which means you don't want to buy another tank, and then you start wasting time and your valuable time to empty the resin tank, clean it, and reuse it with different resins. In here, we've engineered our tanks to be super long lasting. As I mentioned, for example, in clear aligner cases, you have 340 prints before even having to inspect your tank, before getting a notification that you need to inspect it now. And that's the result of really a lot of R&D work and learning from the past through our now 4th generation of resin 3D printers. And the best part is that the tank costs $99. The mixer, if you're using it with the same resin, is not meant to be consumable. It's meant to be long lasting, so you don't have to really purchase it over and over again. If anyone here had experiences with the Form 4B tanks, please put it in the chat. How has your experience been with it? So I wanted to highlight this, but also show you some of the things we've talked about it. This is the tank, super easy to use. The RFID chip automatically detects what's in it to make sure you're not mixing different resins from the cartridge with the tank. And yes, you can clean it and reprogram it if that's what you would want to do. But please don't clean it and use a non-biocomp resin with a biocomp resin after and reprogram it. So these are things better kind of take care of. The resin mixer and the resin with mixer debris sensing. So number one, you don't have to mix the resin manually. It does it for you. But two, it has the function of automatically detecting the debris inside of the tank and stopping the print and asking you to print a cleaning mesh to remove those debris and then continue your print. So all of that saves you time, saves you money, saves you resin, and saves you a lot of frustration of cleaning the tanks and filtering it.
Exactly. And one thing maybe to note, maybe for the difference between Form 2 and Form 3B is actually that the tank and the mixer also are separate items or separate things you acquire, in the sense that with your lifetime of your print of your tank is done, you just change the tank, but you can still keep the mixer. So actually that's why you will see also a price difference in the tanks.
Yeah, totally. That is very true. And here's actually a video that Dr. Ferguson posted on the group. We've done an experiment. So there's this phenomenon of suction cup when you're printing. It's kind of doing a suction effect on your film, and that's what deteriorates the film. Here you can see the Form 4 film being abused heavily and still being intact compared to what you're gonna see now from third-party print resin tank with just normal FEP film. You see how the film wrinkled, and now you have to either change the tank or the film. So yeah, this is kind of a very practical. And also, they're very easy to store and put away. So it comes with a plastic cover. You can store the tank with the mixer in it, and you can stack them. So super easy to use and super safe to store on the side. Also, the cartridges come with like small stickers in here that you can put on the tank to identify it when they're stacked. So that's also a very user-friendly. The automatic resin handling, we've talked about. No manual pouring with the resin, no getting too messy with it. You just slip it in, automatically dispenses and controls the rest. And we talked about it. The form factor is 30% smaller compared to the Form 2 and the Form 3, but the capacity is still of 1 liter. Automatic dispensing is 5 to 10 times faster, so you literally see it dispensing automatically. And the RFID system tag comes here under the sticker, so it's not a mechanical thing that can be deteriorated over time, so you're always sure that it's going to be recognized and it's very reliable. Talking about reliability, I'm not going to go into all of these systems that we've baked into the printer, but I think the essence of it is that there is a lot of technology behind it to optimize the print process and hit the reliability and the print success that you basically deserve, so you don't waste any of your valuable time troubleshooting prints. And very fun feature, which is the integrated camera. You can do 2 things with the integrated camera in our printer. You can either take a photo at the end of the print job to make sure everything's good, and you can monitor it remotely. So if you started your print in the evening while you're having dinner at home, you have the final photo making sure that the print job has been successfully done and there's 0 stress for the next day morning. Or you can even create these time lapses of the print that are really nice and fun for marketing reasons, and yeah, for just fun. We all have this bit of curiosity in us and like to try new things. So that's like one thing you can play around with.
And we have seen users actually waiting until the last minute for their print to be done. So the final picture, they appear also with their print. So
Yeah,
if you want to have a nice memory.
Yeah, that's true. It's
use
kind of a
that.
selfie. You can use it as a selfie camera. One important thing is that reliability is a very hard thing to quantify. And if we're not talking numbers, like there's no credibility behind the claims. So we asked an independent test lab, if you know, it's called Intertech, to get a Form 3 printer, Form 4B printer, and 2 third-party printers and test, put them under rigorous tests, actually multiple printers of those, not a single one, and put them on the rigorous test of reliability and success rate of the prints. And the Form 3 and the Form 4 have shown almost a 99% success rate compared to a much lower success rate with the benchmark printer A and printer B. And that was a way to independently prove the reliability of the system, and how much time it can actually save you and how much peace of mind it can bring you to know that when you press on print, the printer is gonna start. And not only you can ask anyone in your clinic to start it because it's very easy to use, but also you know that it's gonna come out on the other side successful. Oh, okay, and the print has been done for the past, I think, 10 minutes. So we want to show you a bit how the next steps will happen. So I will be heading to the printer side, showing you on the other camera. We're gonna stop presenting our presentation and move to this camera here where you can see me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the printer. This is the print job that we just started. I'm gonna release the handle here. And these are 11 models we printed in barely 9 minutes. It was 8 minutes. So here you can see them. They're a bit wet. I'm kind of getting used to the camera here. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use our build platform flex. So remember, no spatula, no nothing here. The only thing is I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna squeeze those, and it's gonna eject the parts. So 0 models in here on my build platform. They're all here. And from here, there are no debris on the build platform. If I'm printing with the same resin, all I have to do is slip it back in. If I have another job, you can start it immediately. If not, then you can just stop here. For the washing part of these parts, we did that here for a bit of demonstration, but you can also do it right away in your wash second generation. So, or you can take these parts and put them in your wash station for the washing parts. That's our wash second generation, has higher vegetation. But I'm not gonna go through it here with details. If you have questions, we'll answer them. So we're gonna come back to the presentation and cover the next parts. So
if I can just make a comment
Yeah.
about the wash. One of the things that has been, you know, the stalwart in our practice is the form wash. I don't think it does it justice to just gloss it over. The form wash does washing and automatic drying, and the new one is much larger, so there's less need for maintenance because it holds a lot more isopropyl alcohol. The more isopropyl alcohol you have in the wash unit, the longer the amount of time between changes and maintenance. So I think Form Wash is still one of the best products out there. It's got just the right number of moving parts, not too many to break. And it's, our Form Wash units, we have 2 of them that have been there since 2016, and they just keep working. And of course, we have the new second generation, which we enjoy because of the larger volume that it carries. But it's the same mechanism where it automatically washes and then does a passive drying. So again, because it does that, there are fewer parts to break, and it's really just a very well engineered product.
Yeah, thank you for the testimony, Dr. Ferguson. We do also see it on the community groups on Facebook, people recommending the wash, and it's been a workhorse with also other printers, which is funny to see. Yeah, so that was a wash. I think I have 0 things to add in here. Thank you, Dr. Ferguson, for the testimonial and for covering that. And then in the FormCure side of things, we've released earlier this year our FormCure second generation. Actually, we launched it during IDS. And it's essentially what Formlabs is known for. It's very easy to use, a very reliable product that will last a long time, but also very effective. Today, all of the parts, dental parts, cure between 1 and 10 minutes, the longest being 10 minutes, which is a permanent restoration, and the fastest being 1 minute, which is the dental models and the models for aligner thermoforming, etc. And then, of course, has the pre-programmed validated cure settings, and then it open up like sideways to put and remove the parts. And then it has a glass turntable, which is very easy to clean. I think that's like an interesting feature, so you can keep it clean all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk now about software. We talked about the hardware and the materials. It's now time to talk about the software, because without the software, it's not complete. So we have a Preform Dental, which is easy to use, convenient. Oh,
Registration for students.
Alexander, I think you are unmuted by mistake.
I was trying to do the math to see.
Okay. Awesome. Sorry about that. So coming back to that slide, Preform, if you haven't used it yet, I think by many is still regarded as the golden standard. You can send your kid to print their first print, and then they'll figure out exactly what to do with it. And it's very convenient, scalable. And we just recently launched a couple of new interesting features that have been in the request for some time. So now you can add labels with Preform. You can do hollowing with honeycomb for models, and you can add drain holes for existing hollow models to avoid suction cups. So all of these, you can do them directly in Preform at the moment.
So one of the nice things about Preform being able to add the drain holes, that is our preferred method of printing models right now, because it saves resin and print time as well. I get a lot of questions in the group about, and people show models being printed with supports and such. And I think this is the most efficient way to print models, unless you really need to fit a lot of models on there, such as aligner models, which we print upright. But this is the most efficient way, and also to save on resin to print like this. But it does require that you have drain holes, and again, the most efficient way to save resin is to hollow the model. So really appreciate these new features in Preform.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ferguson. I hope also the attendees are benefiting from them. Further, you want to add something?
Yes, I honestly, this has been a feature that I personally am very excited about, because if by any chance you forgot to add the drain hole, or you don't have the honeycomb feature in your intraoral scanner software, by any chance, like, I think that this saves a lot of time. And also, to your point, Dr. Ferguson, printing these models, for example, in honeycomb, there's some nice evidence about, for example, the reliability of these models, and also printing them flat on the build platform with the build platform flex. It's a great combination, because now we can guarantee that we can print the part, but we're not scared that we'll fracture those models afterwards. So we want to save time with having the shortest set axis in the height, and we'll print faster. We can save on some materials. We add the drain holes in Preform, and we can remove them without stressing that they will break. So.
Exactly. The build platform, the flex build platform here is here to complement that.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about software, like the elephant in the room is that the design part is a barrier to move from an intraoral scan to 3D printing. So I think we're just past that elephant in the room. Today, CAD software are very easy to use. There's plenty of design services out there, whether they're human design services where you can talk to someone on the phone, or just on the cloud AI design solutions where you can pay per case, very affordable prices, whether it's 3Shape Automate or Glidewell recently launched their AI cloud tool called Simply One. Evident is very known for their design services. They've got 3D diagnostics. DSD offers some of their services as well, or even your own lab. If you tell them like, hey, please design a file for me and send it back, they would do it. So there's plenty of options there, different price points, different qualities you can choose from, and they're all compatible with Formlabs. And then from the intraoral scanner side, we're integrated with 3Shape, Medit, and iTero. And we're going to soon see a lot of improvement to those integration, making them even easier to use. Why? Because today, 3Shape, Medit, and iTero are all integrating design solution or design services into their platforms. So now it's kind of becoming more streamlined to go from an intraoral scan, stay in the same software, do your design whether it's with AI or without AI, and then do a great integration that allows you to print immediately. This is more the way forward rather than having 3D printing companies provide the design solution where you have to scan, go to the 3D printing software, come back to the design, and then go back to the 3D printing software. So this is how we see the future, and like we're jumping on this trend to facilitate the whole workflow from start to finish with intraoral scanning to 3D printing. Yeah, am I covering this or yeah, okay. Sure. And I think most of you are here today for this section. I know Dr. Ferguson was very excited about it, and was also thanks to his feedback as a very close individual and friend to Formlabs, have been asking for an open material solution. So we're going to talk about our dental materials. There are two options. You've seen our cartridges and our resins. We manufacture those ourselves in Ohio, but we also want to give the choice for anyone to print any of the resins with open material mode. So there's this advanced capability that you can activate on your printer. It does cost an additional amount of money because we don't want to transfer that cost to all our users. Some users just don't want to use a third-party resin. They like the peace of mind of inserting the cartridge and everything being taken care of. And then today we cover all of these indications straight from the Formlabs resin solutions, whether it's permanent restoration through the Bego resins that is sold in our cartridges, or our innovative direct composite restoration guides material with IBT Flex and all of that. So all of that is manufactured in our facility in Ohio in an ISO certified facility where we are certified to produce medical devices and biocomp resin class 1 and class 2. And yeah, Formlabs DNA is engineering and R&D. We have more than 250 people out of 800 doing the engineering. So you can imagine we're very R&D focused. So in a nutshell, open material mode is a capability activated on your printer. You can activate it whenever you want on any any printer you want. It's available also on the Form 3, but honestly, resin manufacturers are not investing in validating their resins on the Form 3B. They want to validate it on the latest and greatest, which is the Form 4B. And that's why we're covering only the Form 4B in here. So for an additional $2,499, you can activate that capability and print any third-party resin. A very important point here is essentially what's happening is that the third-party resins, such as Dentsply Lucitone or PacDent, throughout their portfolio now, they are validating their resin on our printers and making sure that they're following all the procedure and the regulatory work to make sure the prints are accurately sound, mechanical properties are sound, and the biocompatibility is there through a very defined workflow. So you can download the settings from those providers, and then they would have usually a documentation as part of the instruction for use or a manufacturing guide that tells you how to do it on the printer, etc. We have like one of the frequently asked questions, Elisa, if you want to cover that one, is can you develop setting for resin that wasn't validated by the resin manufacturer?
Yeah, so basically the answer is yes, you can. But as Giorgio mentioned before, like for example, PacDent and Dentsply with their respective resins, what they did is they did their part in the say, they got their resin, they got it in their printer, they developed the settings. You can get that FPS file to import afterwards so you can print. So you don't need to guess on the material, on the settings. But very important is that they already checked that the mechanical properties and the biocompatibility is there. The thing is that if you're printing with non-biocompatible resins, not a problem. You can do your test, and as long as you have the properties that you need for your model, because you're using a specific model material, up to you. But it's very important that, especially for biocompatible appliances, that you do the validation that that bridge won't break, what are the mechanical properties, and also that the biocompatibility is there. Because what you will see, as Giorgio was mentioning, for example, and you'll see it in PacDent resin is in the instructions for use, you have, okay, here is where you can download the FPS file, but also they would tell you, hey, you can also wash with this unit and you can cure with these units. And actually, Georgia, you will cover probably that afterwards. There depends on the third-party resin manufacturer what is their post-processing protocol, which units they use. Some might use let's say, validate the Formlabs ecosystem of post-processing, great. But important to know is that if you want to use a material that the third-party resin manufacturer didn't do the validation, you need to do that on your own.
Yeah, totally. I think that's it. And like, you just need to be aware of the risk, and you're responsible of it. So more and more resin manufacturers are validating their resins. You can expect soon to come more from DTAX, Vita, Keystone, and Graphy actually is already available if you contact Graphy for directly printed aligners. So yeah, and we think it's just gonna be natural that more and more resin manufacturer would want to have their resins validated on the Form 4B.
So if I could make a comment about this, somebody asked in the chat, do you sell empty cartridges so that folks can fill it with their own resins?
Yeah, good point. We haven't thought about this yet. The answer is no at the moment, but it's a very interesting proposition. Yeah, thanks for
Because
this.
right now with the open material resins, you have to manually pour them into the tank.
Correct. You can activate the mixer for mixing, but you have to manually pour them into the tank. That is correct. Yeah. How does the process look like? You activate the OMM, open material mode, and then there is part of the settings in Preform where you import the Formlabs print setting file that the manufacturer supplied. And then you set up your printer where you pour the resin manually, and then you follow the instruction for use from the manufacturer. So it is as simple as that.
Maybe I want to add something on this. This is a very nice white paper, actually, that our legal team prepared, because one of the things that we noticed, and also, like, you will see, like, we have different regulations, for example, in the US versus EU. That's why you will see a section also on how the EU MDR works, because they're different, let's say, things that apply to different professionals in different regions. But this white paper, I believe, provides some clarity of some for example, the spectrum of risk or the level of effort to, let's say, have a validated workflow. And when you start to combine different pieces, what does that mean regarding the spectrum of risks? So I do believe that this is a very comprehensive guide that I believe, like, it's worth for everyone to read it, because it does provide some clarity about, okay, if I print with materials from the resin manufacturer, what does it mean if I print with validated, or if I print with something that hasn't been validated by the third-party resin manufacturer? So I recommend for you to, if you want to have a look, here's a QR code which you can scan and read the guide. But yeah, we can continue then to the last part, which actually is one of the, very interesting part.
Oh,
actually.
Ferguson, back to you. It's getting close to the end.
So thank you for a great explanation of the entire system. I think we covered a lot here. But I am excited for one thing with Formlabs Form 4B, and that was the ability to now do same-day clinical dentistry. The speed of the Formlabs makes it very applicable to do this. So you'll see here actually kind of a celebrity in the dental field. This is one of our patients that came in and visited our practice. He's actually Brian Binney from PacDent. Gave me permission to share his case, but he was their director of special projects, and I worked with him closely on some of the resins that they developed, and thus, one of the reasons why Formlabs has their resins validated. Pretty much all of their resins are validated on the Form 4B. But Brian was missing some teeth. And, he's a very, very fun guy. I mean, you can see even without the teeth here, he's smiling, he's happy. But of course, it makes it challenging for him to eat. You can go to the next slide. This is what we found when we looked inside and we saw that he was missing some teeth. He had some implants placed and had an appliance made, but it had fractured and it didn't last very long. So he came in the afternoon, and we scanned him, and we sent the scan out to a designer that he actually knows, Seth Potter. So Seth designed it, and in about 30 minutes sent the file back, and we went ahead and printed it. And we printed it with their Rodan Titan resin. You can see it on the next slide. Yeah, this is the Rodan Titan. Again, this is now validated in the open materials mode from PacDent and on the Form 4B. So we printed this on the Form 4B. And next slide, we can see the kit, the nitrogen-free naturalizing kit from PacDent that we used to do the finishing. So we stained it. So it was printed as a monolithic. Next, using the nitrogen-free glaze, which is nice because you don't need a special nitrogen-free environment in order to cure this. You can actually cure it with a handheld curing light, a composite curing light. So it's really a nice product. There's a research paper that was just put out that showed that it created a much smoother surface than could even be achieved with polishing. So this is our go-to way of staining and glazing intraoral appliances. The only drawback with the nitrogen-free glaze is that it cannot be used on flexible prints, so things like night guards and such. But anything hard that has a hard shell like dentures and of course temporaries and hybrids, it's a great way to do a final final glazing after you've used the stain kit. And they developed this stain kit specifically for 3D printed resins, but it can also be used on PMMA, etc. So it's a really nice staining kit. Anyway, next we can see the appliance as it was finished by our dental assistant. And then we actually used this appliance and did a pickup of the locator attachments into this material. We used a chair side material from Zest Anchors to do the pickup. And then we were able to deliver this appliance for him and give him back his smile, as you see in the next slide. And, you know, as I said, Brian's a pretty fun guy, you know, always has a good attitude about things. And this is what we're able to deliver for him. And you can see in the next slide, again, you know, just the character that he is before and after. And now this has been, he's been using this. I just spoke to him basically yesterday, and he's been using this appliance for about 8 months now. You know, eventually we'll make him something fixed, but you know, the longevity of these materials certainly have come a long way, and the ability to print this, you know, in a very fast manner that we can deliver it same day or even next day, whatever your preference is. The design part probably took longer than doing the actual print. You know, uploading the files and etc., scanning and uploading the files. But this really opens up what I think is just a wonderful use of 3D printing, which is for same day appliances. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So, you know, the next steps, of course, are, you know, how do you get the printer? And I think you have something coming up, an offer for anybody that attended the webinar. You can reach out to Tim Kent at formlabs.com, and they will give you $500 off one of the packages, the Form 4B Complete package or the Form 4B Premium package. And Georgia, you want to explain what those two packages are, how they differ?
Yeah, so essentially the complete package, you're good to go. You have the printer, build platform flex, finish kit, the wash, the cure, solvent pump, including the warranty and services. In this case, if you also want the open material mode, that would be as well included. And then the premium package compared to the complete package adds a bit of more production environment. So you get an additional build platform flex for versatility, and you get 2 wash stations. Those 2 wash stations will allow you to dedicate one for biocomp and then the other for non-biocomp, or do first or second wash depending on your needs. So you always have 1 wash that is clean, 1 wash that is a bit dirtier, and then that will include a 3-year dental service plan. Yeah, to give you an idea, the Form 4B Complete package without the open material mode is around $9,000 roughly. And with the open material mode, we'll get to 11.5. And then premium package is a bit higher than that. So yeah, for long-lasting, reliable 3D printing, I think we hope to be offering the best value proposition there. A printer you can trust that is fast enough for same visit, same day dentistry, and now is open as well to give you more option and versatility with your printing. And of course, while keeping the, I would call it the Formlabs signature ease of use from start to finish.
So if I can make some closing statements, thank you for this great presentation, Giorgio and Dr. Praderi. You know, I have been with Formlabs basically from 2015. So over the last 10 years, seeing the evolution of Formlabs, and as they progressed, it's a decade, you know, and, you know, I'll leave with this thought. Most printers out there, you can expect them to last about a couple of years, right? You know, once the warranties run out, things will start to break and such. But as we know, with the robust nature of Formlabs, you can expect this. This is a printer that you'll buy for life. You know, this is something that is not just a quick decision, of course. You know, it's something that if you're looking for something that's going to last with very little user intervention, the ability, again, open, it's easy, innovative, and open. I think we should have added one more word to that, which is robust, you know. So I'm going to leave you with our contact information here. Thank you for attending the webinar. I think we answered all the questions that came up in the chat, so there's probably not a need to continue beyond our time here. You have our contact information on the screen, so please reach out if you ever have any questions, or if you want to take advantage of the offer from Formlabs. And again, I want to thank Giorgio and Dr. Praderi for building us a really great printer, a very robust printer, and helping push 3D printing in dentistry beyond what we could have imagined 10 years ago. So thank you again. And with that, we will go ahead and end the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Very much, Dr. Ferguson, and your team for hosting this wonderful session, and for everyone.
And thank you for the participants as well for joining and asking very interesting questions. Please do feel free to interact on Facebook groups. Also, if you're a Formlabs user or non-user, there's the Formlabs Dental User Group. Feel free to ask us questions there, and then tag us on Dr. Ferguson's group, the 3D printing group. We are happy to assist you and be there for you on the community Facebook pages. And Dr. Ferguson, thanks for giving us this opportunity, and good to continue this relationship after a decade of you experiencing the Formlabs experience.
Thank you so much. This webinar will be recorded, and we'll be posting the link to that soon. So tell your friends if they missed it, they can still watch it on after we post the link in the group. Thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your day. And we're now going to end the webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.